I should have known something was wrong when I saw a restaurant called the Last Supper Club offering delivery at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. Not because of the name, though that should have been my first clue. It was the menu that hooked me. Bone marrow butter on sourdough. Duck heart tartare. Sweetbreads in black garlic sauce. The kind of food you'd find in a Michelin-starred spot downtown, not on a delivery app at 3 a.m. in my neighborhood. I was high, not sloppy drunk or completely wasted, just pleasantly stoned after a long shift at the warehouse. My roommate Jake was out of town visiting his girlfriend in Cleveland, and I had the apartment to myself for the first time in weeks. I'd been scrolling through DoorDash for probably 20 minutes, unable to decide between pizza and Thai food, when the Last Supper Club appeared at the top of my feed. The photos looked professional, moody lighting, artful plating, steam rising from plates in that perfect Instagram way that makes you wonder if they used a steamer or if the food really was that hot. 5-star rating, 43 reviews, all recent, all glowing. Best meal of my life. Can't believe this place delivers. Changed everything. The prices were weirdly low. That bone marrow appetizer, $7. The full tasting menu, $30. In this economy, for that kind of food, I'd paid more for mediocre sushi last week. I checked the address. It was maybe 2 miles from my apartment, in a weird industrial zone near the old meatpacking district. Not exactly prime real estate for a fancy restaurant, but maybe that's how they kept costs down. Ghost kitchens were everywhere now. Restaurants with no dining room, just a kitchen cranking out delivery orders. Made sense. I ordered the tasting menu. Why not? It was my money, my night, and I'd been eating frozen burritos and ramen for 2 weeks straight. The app said 45 minutes. It arrived in 30. The driver didn't knock. I only knew the food was there because I got the notification. That little chime that makes you salivate before you even see the food. When I opened the door, there were 3 black boxes stacked on my doormat, the kind of packaging you'd see at a high-end catering event. Matte black, with a small silver logo embossed on top. A circle with something in the center, but I couldn't make out what. In the dim hallway light, the boxes were warm. Not just warm from the food inside, but warm on the outside, like they'd been heated. Inside, everything was perfect. 6 courses, each in its own compartment, with a small card describing the dish in elegant script. The bone marrow butter came with its own tiny fork, the kind you'd use for escargot. The duck heart was arranged on a slate with microgreens and edible flowers. Even the sweetbreads looked like art, drizzled with some kind of reduction that had been carefully placed in a spiral pattern. I took a photo for Instagram. My feed was mostly warehouse memes and gym selfies, the occasional drunk selfie with my buddies. But this felt worth documenting. My followers were going to be confused as hell. Then I started eating. The first bite of that bone marrow butter was maybe the best thing I'd ever tasted. Rich and savory, and somehow both heavy and light at the same time. I could taste smoke. Herbs I couldn't name. Something sweet underneath, like honey, but darker, almost burnt. The bread was perfect too, still warm, with a crust that shattered when I bit into it. The duck heart was tender and gamey. The sweetbreads were crispy outside and creamy inside. Each course was better than the last. I found myself eating slowly, which wasn't like me. Usually I wolfed down food, barely tasting it. But this felt different, special, like something I needed to savor. I finished all 6 courses in maybe 20 minutes, barely pausing between bites. When I was done, I felt full but not stuffed. Satisfied in a way that went beyond just eating good food. I felt calm, present, like I'd taken the perfect amount of edibles, and everything in the world had finally aligned. Like that moment right before you fall asleep, when your body goes weightless. I left a 5-star review, took another photo of the empty boxes, posted it with a caption about hidden gems and late-night discoveries. Then I packed up the empty containers, noticed the logo on the boxes again, tried to make out what was in that circle, and forgot about the whole thing. Went to bed feeling better than I had in months. That was Monday night. On Tuesday, I woke up still thinking about that meal. It stayed with me through my morning routine, through the shower, through the drive to work. I kept remembering specific flavors, the way that bone marrow had melted on my tongue, the texture of the duck heart. I'd never been the kind of person who thought about food like this. Food was fuel. You ate it, you felt full, you moved on. I opened DoorDash around lunch, sitting in my car in the warehouse parking lot, and the Last Supper Club was still at the top of my feed. That seemed odd. The algorithm usually rotated restaurants based on time of day and previous orders. I'd ordered late night, so I should have been seeing breakfast places or lunch spots. But there it was again, with a new menu, different dishes, same aesthetic, same prices, same impossible quality. Seared scallops with cauliflower puree, Wagyu beef carpaccio, lobster bisque with cognac, rabbit terrine, things I'd never heard of, let alone tried. I scrolled past it, ordered a burrito from my usual spot, someplace called Chipotle Jr. that was definitely not Chipotle, but close enough. The burrito was fine, tasted like every other burrito I'd ever eaten. But I kept thinking about the Last Supper Club. Wednesday, same thing. The Last Supper Club was there again. At the top of my feed, different menu. The photos had changed. Now it was showing what looked like a 7-course tasting menu with wine pairings. $45. I could see duck, lobster, something that might have been venison with a port wine reduction. I clicked on the restaurant profile. No website listed, no phone number, no hours of operation. Just that address in the industrial district, and a short description about elevated dining experiences delivered to your door. I pulled up Google Maps and entered the address, zoomed in on the location. Street View showed me exactly what was there. It was a parking lot, not a building with a parking lot, not a restaurant with outdoor seating, just a parking lot. Empty asphalt between 2 warehouses in the industrial district. I could see it clearly in the satellite view, dated from 6 months ago. No restaurant, no building, no shipping containers that might have been converted into a kitchen. Nothing. I went back to the app. The Last Supper Club had 57 reviews now, all 5 stars, all posted in the last 3 days. I read through them carefully. They were detailed, specific, full of the kind of food terminology you'd hear from people who actually knew about cooking. Mentions of umami, and mouthfeel, and flavor profiles. But something about them felt off. Not fake exactly. More like everyone was describing the same experience in slightly different words. Best meal of my life. Can't believe this place delivers. Changed everything. That last phrase. Changed everything. 5 different reviews used those exact words. I counted. 5 out of 57. That might not seem like much, but it bothered me. People don't usually use the exact same phrase unless they're copying each other or being told what to say. I closed the app, went back to work, spent the afternoon unloading boxes of auto parts, my mind elsewhere. Opened Instagram during my break. My photo from Monday night had gotten maybe a dozen likes, which was normal for me. One comment from my buddy Marcus, asking where the place was. Marcus and I had been friends since high school. He was the foodie in our group, always trying new restaurants, always posting elaborate photos of his meals. If anyone would appreciate the Last Supper Club, it was him. I replied with the name and a thumbs up emoji. Thursday morning, I woke up to a notification. The Last Supper Club was offering a special promotion. Breakfast tasting menu, 6 courses, $15. available for the next 2 hours only. I looked at the clock. It was 6:47 a.m. I had to be at work by 8. I was hungry, still half asleep. My brain was in that fuzzy morning state where decisions felt easy and consequences felt distant. I ordered it without thinking. The app said delivery in 35 minutes. I made coffee, took a shower, got dressed for work, checked my phone. 20 minutes until delivery. This time, I decided to watch for it. Sat by the window in my living room with my coffee, tracking the driver's progress on the app. The little car icon moved through the streets in real time, getting closer to my apartment. I watched it turn onto Main Street, then onto Fifth Avenue, then onto my street. Elm Street, 3 blocks of old apartment buildings and small businesses. The icon showed the driver right outside my building. I looked out the window. The street was empty. No cars parked, no delivery vehicles, no one walking. Just early morning quiet. A few birds, a guy walking his dog half a block down. But no driver, no car that matched the icon on my screen. My phone buzzed. Your order has been delivered. I stared at my screen. The little car icon was sitting right on top of my building marker. But there was nobody outside. I opened my front door. 3 black boxes on the doormat, still warm. Steam rising from the seams. I looked down the hallway. Empty. I stuck my head out and checked both directions. Nobody. The stairwell door at the end of the hall was closed. I hadn't heard anyone come up the stairs. Hadn't heard the elevator ding. Hadn't heard footsteps. Nothing. I stood there for a moment, holding the boxes, trying to make sense of it. Maybe the driver had been really fast. Maybe they dropped the food and left before I could open the door. Maybe I'd been distracted by my phone and missed them somehow. I brought the boxes inside and set them on my kitchen counter. Opened them slowly. Part of me expected them to be empty, like this was all some elaborate prank. They weren't empty. Scrambled eggs with black truffle shavings. Pain au chocolat that looked like it had come straight from a Parisian bakery. Smoked salmon on a potato latke with creme fraiche and dill. Yogurt parfait with fresh berries and honeycomb, the actual honeycomb, still in its waxy, hexagonal structure. Bacon that looked like it had been candied with maple and black pepper. A small French press of coffee with a card that said, Ethiopian single origin, light roast. It was perfect, all of it. I ate standing at my counter, one eye on the clock because I was going to be late for work. The eggs were creamy and rich, studded with pieces of truffle that filled my mouth with earthy flavor. The salmon was silky and fatty in the best way. Even the coffee was exactly how I liked it. Strong, but not bitter, with a slight fruity note. I finished eating and realized I had 15 minutes to get to work. I was definitely going to be late. I threw the empty boxes in the trash and grabbed my keys. Driving to work, I couldn't stop thinking about the delivery, about the driver who never appeared, about how the food had gotten there. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe the driver was really quiet. Maybe I'd been looking the wrong direction. Maybe the app's GPS was off and they'd actually been parked around the corner. But I hadn't heard anything. Our building was old, built in the 1950s, and every sound echoed. Footsteps in the hallway, doors closing, the elevator groaning. I should have heard something.
I got to work 12 minutes late. My supervisor gave me a look, but didn't say anything. I spent the morning unloading trucks, my mind elsewhere.
At lunch, I sat in my car and pulled up the app again. The Last Supper Club was still there. New menu, lunch specials. I scrolled through the dishes, looked at the photos, read the descriptions. Then I clicked on the reviews. 73 now, all 5 stars, all recent. I found Marcus's name. He'd left a review an hour ago. 5 stars. Finally got to try this place. Absolutely incredible. Can't believe the quality. Changed everything. I tried texting him to ask about the restaurant location. but his responses were brief and distracted. He said he didn't know where it was located, didn't care. The food was too good to worry about details. He was ordering again tonight. When I pressed him about the empty parking lot and the strange deliveries, he brushed me off, said I was overthinking it, said it was just a ghost kitchen operation, said I should enjoy the mystery gourmet delivery and stop being paranoid. I sat in my car, staring at my phone, opened the app again. The Last Supper Club was showing a dinner menu now, 8 courses, $55. The photos were stunning. Each dish looked like something from a cooking magazine. Perfect plating, perfect lighting, perfect everything. I closed the app, deleted it from my phone. I didn't need it. Could order food other ways, could cook at home, could go pick things up myself. I finished my shift and drove home. Made myself a frozen pizza, sat on the couch and watched TV. Tried not to think about the Last Supper Club. Tried not to wonder what was on their dinner menu. Tried not to remember how good that breakfast had been. At 11 p.m., I downloaded DoorDash again. I told myself it was just to check if they had other restaurants I liked, to see what else was available. But really, I wanted to see if the Last Supper Club was still there. It was. Now with 82 reviews. The address had changed again. This time, it was listing a location 1 block away from my apartment. 412 Elm Street. I knew that building. It was a former office building that had been empty for years. Broken windows, graffiti. Definitely not a restaurant. The menu had changed again too. Late night menu. Comfort food with a twist. Mac and cheese with lobster and truffle oil. Burger with Wagyu beef and foie gras. Fried chicken with caviar. I clicked on the restaurant's info page. Read through the description again. Elevated dining experiences delivered to your door. We prepare each meal with care. We know what you need. That last sentence was new. I was sure of it. We know what you need. I closed the app, went to bed, lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking about that phrase. We know what you need. What did that mean? How would they know what I needed? They were a restaurant. They made food. That's all. I fell asleep sometime after midnight and had dreams about kitchens. Endless stainless steel counters. Pots boiling over. Ovens with viewing windows that showed things I couldn't quite see. People in white chef coats with their backs to me, working in perfect synchronization. Friday, I woke up determined not to think about the Last Supper Club. I didn't check the app, didn't look at reviews, went to work, did my job, came home and made pasta from a box with store-bought sauce. It tasted like cardboard and sadness, but I ate it anyway. Jake called that evening, said he was coming home a day early. His girlfriend had gotten sick with the flu and didn't want him to catch it. He'd be back tomorrow morning. We talked about normal stuff, work, his girlfriend, his car that was making a weird noise. Nothing about restaurants or delivery, or strange things happening on apps. Normal roommate talk. After we hung up, I felt better, more grounded. Jake would be home tomorrow. Things would go back to normal. I'd forget about the Last Supper Club, move on with my life. At 2 a.m., I woke up to my phone buzzing on my nightstand. I grabbed it, squinting at the screen in the dark. A notification from DoorDash. Your order is on the way. I hadn't ordered anything. I sat up in bed, suddenly wide awake. Opened the app with shaking hands. There was an active order. The Last Supper Club, midnight tasting menu, 8 courses. It said I'd placed the order at 1:47 a.m., 15 minutes ago. I'd been asleep. I tried to cancel. The button was grayed out. Too late to cancel. Your meal is being prepared with care.
I watched the tracker. The driver was close. 3 blocks away. 2 blocks. 1 block.
I got out of bed and went to my front door. My apartment was dark except for the streetlight coming through the living room window. I looked through the peephole. The hallway was dark and empty. The motion sensor lights hadn't come on, which meant nobody had been out there in the last few minutes. My phone buzzed in my hand. "Your order has been delivered." I looked through the peephole again, still empty. I waited 30 seconds, counted them in my head. Then I opened the door slowly, ready to slam it shut if I needed to. The boxes were there, black and warm, and waiting. 4 boxes this time, stacked neatly on my doormat. I looked down the hallway in both directions. The motion lights flickered on, sensing me. The hallway was empty. The elevator at one end was closed. The stairwell door at the other end was closed. No sounds, no movement. I stood in my doorway for a full minute, listening. Nothing. I picked up the top box. It was warm, almost hot. I could feel heat radiating from it. I brought all 4 boxes inside and set them on my counter. Stood there looking at them. I should throw them away. I knew that. Should just toss them in the dumpster outside and go back to bed. Pretend this never happened. But I opened them instead. 8 courses, each more elaborate than the last. Things I'd never seen before. Things I couldn't even name. One dish looked like it was made entirely of gold leaf and foam. Another was a single piece of fish on a bed of something black and shiny. There was soup that changed colors when I tilted the bowl. There was ice cream that didn't melt. I didn't eat it. I stared at it, studied it, tried to understand what I was looking at. In the bottom of the last box, underneath the dessert course, I found a card. Black cardstock with silver text. "Thank you for dining with us. We hope you enjoyed your meal. We're always preparing something special just for you. We never close. We're always here." And at the bottom, in smaller text, compliments of the kitchen. I'd never eaten any of it. They were thanking me for a meal I hadn't touched. I put the card down, closed all the boxes, stacked them by my door, went back to bed but didn't sleep. Just lay there, listening to the apartment, the hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the radiator, the occasional sound of cars passing outside. At 3 a.m., I heard something in the kitchen, a rustling sound, like cardboard moving. I got up, grabbed my phone to use as a flashlight, went to the kitchen slowly. The boxes were gone.
I looked around, checked the counter, checked the floor, looked in the trash. They weren't anywhere. I went to the front door, opened it, looked out into the hallway. Nothing.
Saturday morning, Jake came home around 9 a.m. I was sitting on the couch, drinking coffee, trying to look normal. He dropped his bag by the door and collapsed into the recliner. I looked rough, apparently. Hadn't slept well. He'd driven through the night to get back, couldn't stay at his girlfriend's place with her sick. We talked for a while. He showered. I made eggs. We ate breakfast and watched TV. Normal Saturday routine. Around noon, I decided to do something I'd been avoiding. I got in my car and drove to the original address, the parking lot in the industrial district. It was exactly like the satellite image showed. Empty asphalt surrounded by chain link fence. The warehouse on one side looked abandoned, broken windows, faded sign I couldn't read. The self-storage facility on the other side was operational, but closed on weekends. A sign on the gate said 24-hour access with code. I parked on the street and got out, walked around the perimeter of the lot. It was maybe half an acre, sandwiched between the 2 buildings. There was no restaurant, no kitchen, no sign that any food had ever been prepared there, no dumpsters, no delivery vehicles, no vents or exhaust fans, nothing. Just empty asphalt with weeds growing through the cracks. I was about to leave when I noticed a smell, faint but distinct, roasting meat, caramelized onions, fresh bread. That same combination of smells from the meals I'd eaten. It was coming from the parking lot. I walked to the center of the asphalt. The smell was stronger there. I crouched down and put my hand on the ground. It was warm, not hot, but warmer than it should have been in the cool November air. There was heat coming up from below. There was a storm drain in the center of the lot. Standard city maintenance drain, maybe 18 inches across with a metal grate. The smell was definitely coming from there. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. Knelt down, pointed it down into the drain. At first, I just saw darkness. And the normal drain stuff, concrete, water, probably some trash. But then I tilted my phone at a different angle, and I saw something else. I saw a kitchen, not in the drain, through it, like the drain was a window into somewhere else. Stainless steel counters, commercial ovens, gas burners with pots on them, steam rising, everything clean and modern and completely impossible. I pulled back, blinked, looked again. Still there, the kitchen. I could see people now, figures in white chef's coats, moving around, working, cooking. I dropped my phone. It clattered on the asphalt, the screen cracking. I picked it up with shaking hands and looked again. Just darkness and water. Normal drain stuff. I stood up too fast and got dizzy. Had to lean against the chain link fence to steady myself. Took deep breaths. Told myself I'd imagined it. Lack of sleep, stress, something. But I could still smell it. The food, the kitchen. It was real. I got in my car and drove home too fast. Didn't care about speed limits or stop signs. Just needed to get away from that parking lot. When I got home, Jake was in his room playing video games. I went to my room and lay down. Closed my eyes, tried to calm down. My phone buzzed. Messages from Marcus. He was raving about the restaurant. Ordering again. Said I should try it. The messages were enthusiastic, but somehow flat. Like he was reading from a script. I tried calling him multiple times over the next few hours. Sometimes he didn't answer. Sometimes it went straight to voicemail. When he did pick up, he sounded distant, distracted, kept talking about how amazing the food was, how he couldn't stop ordering, how it had changed everything for him. Sunday morning, Marcus texted me a photo. It was him holding black boxes, big smile on his face. The caption said "Breakfast of Champions." I tried calling him. No answer. Tried again an hour later. Straight to voicemail. I drove to his apartment. The building was one of those modern complexes with a security door and a buzzer system. I pressed his buzzer. No answer. Pressed it again. Still nothing. I called his girlfriend Sarah. She hadn't heard from him since yesterday morning. Said he'd been acting weird lately. Kept ordering delivery. Stopped going out. Spent all his time in his room. She was at her parents' house and wouldn't be back until tonight. She thought he was probably just sleeping in or busy. Told me not to worry. Said I was probably overreacting. After we hung up, I sat in my car outside Marcus's building. Waited. Watched the windows I knew were his. 3rd floor. Corner unit. I could see into his living room. The lights were off. No movement. I waited 2 hours. Nothing. Around noon, I drove home. Jake was in the kitchen making a sandwich. I went to my room, pulled up Instagram. Marcus's last post was from yesterday. A photo of food, black boxes, beautiful plating, duck and fingerling potatoes, and something green I couldn't identify. The caption said, "Best meal of my life." In the comments, other people had tagged the Last Supper Club, all of them with recent photos, all of them with similar captions. I scrolled through my feed, counted 12 people total. 12 people I knew personally who'd posted about ordering from the Last Supper Club in the last week. Friends from high school, coworkers, Jake's girlfriend's roommate, my neighbor from 2 doors down, 12 people. I started calling them. Most didn't answer. A few did, and they all sounded the same. Distant, enthusiastic about the food, but oddly monotone. They couldn't tell me where the restaurant was. They hadn't seen any delivery drivers. When I asked why they kept ordering, they paused like they had to think about it. Then they said they didn't know. They just wanted to. Sunday evening, I heard Jake in his room ordering food. I heard him say the restaurant name, the Last Supper Club. Marcus had recommended it to him. I went to his door and tried to talk him out of it. Tried to explain what I'd seen. The parking lot, the disappearing boxes, the way Marcus had been acting. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind, said it was just food, asked what my problem was. I asked him to show me the address on his order. He did. It was our apartment, our unit number. 3B. I pointed this out. He said maybe the GPS was weird. Maybe it updated based on where you were ordering from. When I insisted that wasn't how it worked, he asked how I knew. I didn't have an answer that didn't sound paranoid. I begged him to order from somewhere else. Anywhere else. He refused, said the photos looked incredible, said it was only $35 for a full dinner spread, said I couldn't stop him. He was right, I couldn't. So I went back to my room, lay on my bed, stared at the ceiling, tried to think of what to do. Call the police and tell them what? That a restaurant was sending food to people? That wasn't a crime. That wasn't even weird. Go back to the parking lot? Show someone else the drain? Who would believe me? Who would I even show?
28 minutes later, I heard Jake open the front door of the apartment. Heard him bring boxes inside.
I got up and went to the kitchen. He had 4 black boxes on the counter. Was opening them one by one. Looking at the food with this expression I couldn't quite read. Wonder, maybe. Or hunger. Or something else. Something I couldn't name. The food looked perfect. Better than the photos. The steak was cooked exactly medium rare. The potatoes were golden and crispy. Everything was still steaming, like it had just come off the stove. Jake said it looked good. His voice sounded flat, monotone. I told him not to eat it. He asked why. I asked him to please just trust me. He looked at me. Really looked at me. For a moment, I thought he might listen, might throw the food away, might realize something was wrong. Then he picked up a fork and started eating. I stood there watching him. He went through all the courses methodically, savoring each bite. Didn't speak, didn't look at me. Just ate with this focused intensity I'd never seen from him before. When he finished, he packed up the empty containers neatly, stacked them by the door, said he was going to order from there again tomorrow. His voice was still flat. His eyes looked glassy, unfocused. Said it was the best thing he'd ever eaten. Then he went to his room and closed the door. I tried to sleep that night, but couldn't. Kept listening for sounds, kept expecting something to happen. Around 3 a.m., I heard Jake's door open, heard him walk to the front door, heard it open and close. I got up and checked his room. He was gone. His bed was made. His phone was on his nightstand. His wallet and keys were on his dresser. His car keys were in the bowl by the front door where he always kept them. I checked the parking lot. His car was there. Monday morning, Jake still wasn't back. I waited until 7 a.m., then called his work. Told them he was sick, couldn't come in. They asked if I could have him call when he felt better. I said sure. I tried calling his girlfriend Kelly, got her voicemail, left a message saying it was urgent. I sat in the apartment, waited, tried to think of what to do. Every scenario I came up with sounded insane. My roommate disappeared after eating food from a restaurant that doesn't exist. My friends are all ordering from the same place and acting weird. I saw a kitchen through a storm drain. I should have gone to the police. I know that now. Should have filed a missing person report. Should have told someone official what was happening. But I knew how it would sound. Knew they wouldn't believe me. Knew I'd end up sounding paranoid or high or crazy. So I opened DoorDash instead. The Last Supper Club had 237 reviews now. The most recent one was from Jake's account. Posted 20 minutes ago. Changed everything. I scrolled through the reviews, found Marcus's account. He'd left a new review an hour ago. Changed everything. I checked the other people I knew who'd ordered. Every single one had left a new review in the last day. All of them said the same thing. Changed everything. The address had changed again. Now it was listing the storm drain. Actually listing it. Storm drain. Industrial district. With GPS coordinates instead of a street address. I clicked on the menu. There was only one item now. a tasting menu, 15 courses. The description was longer than before. We've been preparing this just for you. We know what you like. We know what you need. We know what you are. Come join us. Come home. Come see where the food comes from. We're always cooking. We're always ready. We never close. The Last Supper Club, where everyone gets their final meal, where every dish is made with care, where you belong. At the bottom, in small text, accept your invitation. Your table is ready.
There was an Order Now button. It was glowing, pulsing, like it was alive.
I put my phone down. My hands were shaking. I should leave, pack a bag, get in my car, drive away, never come back. But where would I go? The restaurant had found me here, had found Marcus, had found all of us. What made me think it wouldn't find me somewhere else? I grabbed my keys, drove to the industrial district one more time. The parking lot was the same, empty asphalt, chain link fence. But now there were sounds, not just cooking sounds, voices, low and constant, chanting or humming or singing. I couldn't tell. The sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I parked and walked to the storm drain. The metal grate was warm, hot even. I could feel the heat from a foot away. I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, pointed it down into the drain. Through the screen, I could see it all clearly now. The kitchen was massive, industrial, rows of stoves and ovens stretching back farther than should have been possible. Dozens of people working, maybe hundreds, all wearing white chef's coats, moving in synchronized patterns, chopping, stirring, plating. An assembly line of impossible cuisine. I zoomed in, tried to make out faces. The image was grainy, but I could see enough. One of them was Jake. He was at a prep station, chopping something I couldn't identify. His movements were precise, mechanical. His face was blank, empty, like all the personality had been drained out. Next to him was Marcus, stirring a massive pot. Same blank expression, same mechanical movements.
I saw others, people from the Instagram photos, people from the reviews, all of them working, all of them cooking, all of them empty.
I pulled my phone away from the drain, looked at the screen with my naked eyes. The kitchen was still there, but now I could see more. In the back of the kitchen, there was something else. Something large, something that wasn't human. It was standing in front of a massive stove. Had to be 8 feet tall, too many arms, too many hands. Wearing a chef's coat that didn't fit right. Its head turned toward the camera, toward me. It didn't have a face, just a smooth surface where a face should be. But I could feel it looking at me, could feel its attention lock onto me through the screen. My phone buzzed in my hand. A notification. DoorDash. New message from the Last Supper Club. Your table is ready. Come down. Come join us. Come see what we've been preparing for you. I stepped back from the drain. The smell was overwhelming now. Meat and bread and spices and something else. Something chemical. Something wrong. Something that smelled like copper and rot and things that shouldn't be cooked. My phone buzzed again. We've been waiting for you. We've been preparing your station. We know what you like. We know what you need. We know you're hungry. Come home. Another buzz. Order placed. The Last Supper Club. Final tasting menu. All courses. Delivery to your current location. Your meal is ready. Your chef is waiting. I looked at my phone. I hadn't placed an order, but there it was. Active order. Driver approaching. Driver arriving now. I looked around. The parking lot was still empty. But I could hear something. Not from around me. From below me. From the drain. Footsteps. Coming up. The metal grate started to lift. Rising on its own. Steam poured out. Hot and thick. And smelling like everything I'd eaten. Like every meal that had been delivered. Like everything I'd ever wanted to taste. And something was climbing out. I ran, got to my car, started the engine, hands shaking so bad I could barely turn the key. Put it in reverse. In my rearview mirror, I saw it standing in the parking lot. Tall, wrong. Wearing a chef's coat, splattered with things I didn't want to identify. It was holding black boxes. 4 of them, stacked neatly. It took a step towards my car. I floored it, tires squealing, engine screaming, got turned around, put it in drive, accelerated out of that parking lot without looking back. I drove, didn't know where I was going, just away. Away from the city, away from the restaurant, away from whatever was in that drain. Got on the highway, kept driving, watched the city disappear in my rearview mirror. My phone buzzed constantly. Notifications, messages, calls. I ignored all of them. Finally pulled over at a rest stop somewhere outside the city limits. Threw my phone in a trash can. Bought a burner at a gas station. New number. Started over. I kept driving. Ended up in Ohio, then Indiana, then Illinois. Kept moving. Slept in my car. Used cash. Didn't use any apps. Didn't order any food. Cooked on a camp stove. Bought groceries from stores. Stayed off the grid. But I couldn't drive forever. I'm in Arizona now. Been here 3 months. Small town called Prescott. Quiet, slow, safe. I got a job at a grocery store. Rent a room in a house with 2 other people. Keep to myself. Don't use delivery apps. Cook my own food. Shop locally. Don't take pictures of meals. Don't leave reviews. Don't look at restaurant apps at all. It's been 3 months, and I'm starting to feel normal again. Starting to sleep through the night. Starting to forget about the Last Supper Club. Last week, I was scrolling through Google Maps, just looking for a barber. Nothing important. Just needed a haircut. And I saw it. A restaurant. New listing. No reviews yet. No photos. No hours. Just a name and an address. The Last Supper Club. The address was my new apartment. My room number. 7C. I haven't opened DoorDash. Haven't ordered delivery. Haven't even looked at food photos online. But I know it's only a matter of time. I know they're cooking something special. I know they're waiting. Know they've been preparing my station. Know my table is ready. Yesterday, I smelled something when I came home from work. Roasting meat, caramelized onions, fresh bread. That same combination. That same impossible smell. It was coming from my room. I packed a bag, got in my car, started driving again. Don't know where I'll go. Don't know if it matters. Don't know if I can outrun a restaurant that exists everywhere and nowhere. But I have to try. If you're reading this and you see the Last Supper Club on your delivery app, don't order from them. Don't be tempted by the prices or the photos or the reviews. Don't think about how good the food looks. Don't let yourself get hungry at 3 a.m. and make a choice you can't take back, because the food is good. The best you'll ever have. That's not a lie. But it changes everything. And once they start cooking for you, they never stop. They're always preparing something special, just for you.